I was enjoying my life as a comedian, doing my thing, following politics, getting angrier and angrier,
Yeah.
seeing Trump kind of run away with our democracy and erode it every day. And I kept having the recurring thought that I don't know if any of these candidates who've thrown their hat into the ring have the skills that it takes to beat somebody who does not follow any rules like Donald Trump. And I thought that to take down a heckler like him, you need a comedian. And so I decided to run for president of the United States.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to season 2. I'm Dr. Larry Burchett, and as I see every day in the ER, life can change in a moment. Here on this show, we tell the stories that matter most, after which we are never the same. Kicking off season 2 of the show with none other than Ben Gleib. Welcome to the show, my man.
Thanks for having me, bud.
This is going to be a great episode.
I agree.
Good.
Yeah, I think we've already set such a high bar. And we've started with such fire.
You don't like the...
I love it.
great.
I'm not being sarcastic.
That was a great intro. I'm like,
your
jazz.
Own,
This
your own
is season
insecurity
2.
Reading that sarcasm. I meant it genuinely.
You and I met on the Today Show years ago. You're a comedian.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the surprise, what your moment we're going to talk about. You're not just a comedian. You may have begun to transition into something else. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that.
Sure.
When we met on the Today Show, you had a television show, a game show called The Idiot Test.
Just idiot test. People like to put a the on there, but it's not.
You don't, is that, you don't, sorry.
I mean, yeah, it's just not. It's like saying I'm the Larry Burchett, and I'm not.
Idiot Test.
Idiot test.
I like the Idiot
You
Test.
like the on there better. It makes it more of an event.
Well, it makes something I can put in a sentence. Idiot Test.
You can still put it in a sentence without it. Trust me. I've done it for years.
You and I met on that show, on the Today Show. I want to tell one story from that.
Sure.
So we would do this segment, the Guys Tell All, with Kathy Lee and Hoda and Bob Guinea, and one time they made us go on this was Valentine's Day. They made us go to a theater and watch. What's the name of that?
50 Shades Grayer.
Yeah, like
the part 2.
Number 2 or whatever of the 50 Shades movies.
We're so gray now. Our homework was to watch it in advance, so you and I decided to watch it together.
And we watched, so we go in to watch this movie together.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't really watched any of them.
There's only 2, I think.
I mean, I knew of the books, and I think I had read the book and like put it.
Oh, I think it was just 50 Shades Grey. Was it the sequel? Who knows? Doesn't matter.
I think it was a sequel.
Okay.
And
yeah, you'd read the book.
I don't know.
As someone who criticized the movie vastly, you dedicated yourself for far more hours to reading the book, which is probably the worst kind of fiction possible. But please go ahead.
I was curious. I don't want to get too much into this, but I was curious about that thing before it was a movie, and I read it because like, why are women into this kind of fantasy thing? And then like it got all bondagey, whatever. I was like, well, that's just not my kind of thing. But I'm
so sorry to hear that.
You and I were watching the movie. You're texting your girlfriend the whole time.
Yeah.
I was just.
She was at the movie too. We saw it at the same time. She and I coordinated it. So you were there by yourself with me, kind of.
Yeah.
I was there with my girl.
And I got up and left in the middle of the movie.
Yeah, you did. You did. Didn't finish your assignment properly. But you left me and my girlfriend to our alone. Some of that worked out fine.
That's not fair.
Well.
And how I remember it. But that was a fond memory of mine. And that segment was pretty funny.
It was a good time doing that.
I think like one of the things that I really liked about that was, I think I felt like you and I became friends.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like we just kind of done this segment for a few minutes together, and then we did that, and I don't know, that was cool. That was fun.
Yeah, I think the best way for 2 men to become friends is to watch BDSM-themed schlocky romance movies.
It's my formula.
No, but then after that, we were a lot tighter after that. Whenever we'd be at the hotel that NBC would put us up at, we would hang out before, and
yeah,
it was great.
Yeah. So you've been up to a lot. So so you're a comedian.
Yep.
I can't keep track of it all. You have a Netflix special or an Amazon thing,
Prime hour special called Neurotic Gangster. You can watch it. My stand-up special. It premiered on Showtime. Now it's on Amazon. And Idiot Test on Netflix and Game Show Network. and yeah, just a TV host, political commentator, comedian, actor. I'm in the new Jay and Silent Bob movie. It's a Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Oh, no kidding. When's that coming
I have a
out?
cameo in it. It's out already. It's like touring the country in like a road show, basically, in different theaters.
Oh, cool. I'll look for you.
Yeah, it's cool.
Nice. So there's a lot of ways people can find you.
Yep. At Ben Gleib on Twitter and Instagram is the most thing. And my podcast, Last Week on Earth, where I summarize everything that happened during the last week on Earth every week. So you don't have to watch the news. I'm your news. And I make you laugh about the news all in one. Like a one-man daily show, but a weekly show. It's a weekly, daily show. I've said too much.
So what is a comedian doing on this Life Can Change in a Moment show?
I don't know, you asked me to be here.
I did ask you to be here because you've got one of the most insane moments that I love. And genuinely, I have so respected what you have done. I've been dying for this interview.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I had a pretty crazy life moment. Do you want me to say it or do you say it?
Why don't you tell us about... No, this is your moment. Why don't you tell us about it?
Sure. So I've been not just a comedian for a long time, but very politically minded. I've been, over the years, not only is my podcast cover a lot of politics, but I've been a CNN guest correspondent, NPR for many years. I co-anchored a week of ABC News Digital back in the day, and I've even appeared on Fox News and the Young Turks and all kinds of different political things. And Donald Trump got elected, and I just started seeing everything that made sense to me in this country kind of disappear, and the values that we stand for, Democrat or Republican, just the values of what public discourse is supposed to look like, unifying a country is supposed to look like, bringing people together. And then all these candidates started throwing their hat into the ring to run for president, and it was the usual suspects that you would expect to run. These establishment politicians, a couple billionaires thrown in there. And Donald Trump has such a unique skill set. I was staring at it for a year and a half, unconvinced that any of them have what it takes to beat him.
What is his skill set?
He's just the greatest trash talker of all time. He's not a politician, he's a troll. He's a very talented internet troll. One of the best. And what he really is best at is heckling people. He's a very talented heckler. And the realization hit me that the most surefire way to stop a heckler is with a comedian. And so I decided to run for president of the United States.
You decided to run for president of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So wait a minute. So you got this. I want to get into you've had an interest in politics for a long time, but take me back to that moment when. So you're setting it up a little bit. Trump is elected. People are starting to run. Like, when did it enter your head that you're like, me, I could do that?
I was in this thing called Summit series in the mountains of Utah that I go to for years now, and it's this kind of interesting community. It's kind of described as like Ted meets Burning Man. It's this cool, like, open your mind, kind of interesting way to look at the world and to just change the way you look at things and see your own life. And I call it Learning Man. And in this weekend, we were having all these talks about people trying to tackle these huge problems in the world, and like kept looming over all of it in my head was none of this is going to be possible with Donald Trump in office. And that weekend, at the end of the weekend, I started talking to people about the idea that I think I might want to throw my hat in the ring to run.
Was that a year ago?
This was like a year and a half or two. It's like 2 years ago now.
So it was the Summit Series in 2018 or something?
2017, I think.
Okay.
And people were excited about the idea and started grilling me, and they're doing fake press conferences and having me handle people coming at you with every bit of fervor that they do towards somebody running for office or an actual president, somebody holding office. And then I denied the call for a long time because it's the most insane thing you could run for.
For a year and a half.
A year and a half, I said, I can't do it. It's too risky. You risk your whole life. You put your career on hold. There's haters come out of the woodwork in every possible way.
Yeah.
And people try to tear you down. It's the only job on earth that millions of people try to stop you from getting that job.
Yeah.
No other job. You're applying for the CEO of a company or whatever it might be. There aren't millions of people that try to character assassinate you and angrily stop you from getting it. And so I'm good at handling hecklers, but I knew that that would be next level. And
Next level.
yeah, very much next level. And I just kept having the realization over and over again that I might need to run. And I'm watching Bill Maher one night, and he has a whole rant about how the only way to beat Trump is with a comedian because he's the biggest heckler ever. I'm like, that's what I've been saying. And that kind of confirmed my thoughts. And then I heard that a comedian was running for president in Ukraine, Zelensky. And
Did he win?
Oh yeah, he won. He's the guy that's embroiled in the whole scandal now that led to Trump's impeachment.
I'd heard that before, that the president of Ukraine was a comedian.
Yeah, and so I finally decided to do it, and the next day, Zelensky won the election and was elected president.
No kidding.
And so I just decided, I just kept waking up in the middle of the night or during the day having these like day nightmares where I'd be like, I can't, our country's gonna disappear. I'm gonna be stuck in my own life and only caring about myself, like, you know, we all should do a lot of the time, but we get stuck in our own bubbles, and none of the world that I love and the country that I love is gonna be around if we let this guy win again. And I had to do something. I just wanted to be able to look myself in the mirror and know that I did all that I could. And so I launched a campaign for president of the United States, and for 7.5 months was in the mix with all the top tier candidates. And I was on the campaign trail, and I was speaking at events in Iowa and New Hampshire with all the other candidates. I spoke after Bernie and Warren and Biden and all of them at the AFL-CIO convention in Iowa, for example. And I got one of the few standing ovations that day from the union workers, telling them that I'm a union worker like you, and I'm the only one that you know is going to fight for you because I am one of you. I need the changes that you need because I'm a regular dude. You know, I'm in the public eye, but I am not a millionaire or billionaire. And
You're
I'm not,
a SAG union.
Yeah, SAG-AFTRA is under AFL-CIO, under their purview. So it was the experience of a lifetime. It was insane. Spoiler alert, I lost. I am not going to be president. And I did not get the nomination.
In 2020?
In 2020, correct.
Oh.
Everybody keeps saying, are you going to run again? Are you going to... At this point, my answer is most likely no. People are like, are you going to run for lower office? Are you going to run for Congress? Probably not.
Really?
The process revealed itself to be really shitty.
Really?
Very corrupt. Very broken.
This is what I want to hear.
Yeah. But further, and because of that, I realized I can be more effective as an artist and activist in trying to tear down the corruption in the system and expose it from the outside than I can being in a stuck, broken system.
When you talk about the system, you're talking, is this about campaign finance and how you raise money and then what you have to agree to in order to raise the biggest part? Or what?
It's partly campaign finance.
What's the corruption?
But it's campaign, money in politics has completely corrupted our system. But it's also just the kind of circular, insular nature of our media working in conjunction with our political parties and not allowing outside voices in unless you're a multi-billionaire and you can just buy your way through all the gridlock. The media is very biased. You know, it's the one thing that Trump is sort of right about. It's not fake news. They don't make up stories, but they definitely decide what they cover and what they don't. And when they don't cover major options and they tell you, these are your options for president, well, that's a lie.
You feel like you didn't get a fair
definitely did not get a fair
in
chance.
In the mass media to
Totally.
put your case forward.
Yeah.
So I remember I donated money to your cause.
I know. I'm the only candidate you've donated to.
I don't think I've ever donated. Not in this cycle for sure, but I don't know if I've ever donated money to politics before.
I love that. Did you get my
went
letter?
to you. Oh, I did, and I wanted to open it on the show. I've got it here.
You
Yeah,
gotta
it came
find
here.
that because we're already going.
It's. But I remember what I was really pulling for you was to get on the first debate stage when there were so many. I was like, just get on the stage so you can contribute something to that.
Yeah.
So
I started too late for that, and that's the one thing I will definitely blame myself for. I waited so long to do it that when we launched, we had something just like 5 weeks or so until
the
until
first
debate.
CNN debate or whatever it was.
And it was not enough time to
What do you have to get to be on that stage?
For that first debate, it was 65,000 individual donations, and at least
of $1 each, or it doesn't matter the amount.
Any amount, and then you needed 20 different states. You needed 100 or 200 donations from each of 20 different states.
So 65,000 donations, and it had to be from 20 different states.
Right.
That's it.
And I had every single state donating to me, but our numbers fell way short of the threshold. And then also you had to poll at 1%. So that's another example of where the media was kind of, where the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, was kind of full of shit in a way too, because they said that you needed that donor threshold, which made me think, I have a shot at that, or 1% in the polls.
Or.
But then it turned out it was and. Because in literally the last few days before, they were like, oh, too many people qualified with the donor threshold, so now you have to also have the other threshold. So it was never real. It never seemed real.
So it's not like a real rule. It's kind of like a thing, and then they're gonna who's the puppet master in the end.
It's
really,
the Democratic National Committee. Tom Perez is the head of it, and I reached out to them our whole campaign, and we never got any response from them. At the very end, we got one email back that said, "Oh, we'll connect you with somebody else," and then it was a dead end again.
Now, I'm sympathetic to your cause and what you're talking about, but from the other side, there has to be a limit. How many people do you want on the stage? So like,
of course.
It sounds like you feel like this wasn't just. How would you make that more just?
I think that you need to maybe have a signature threshold, not just a donor threshold is one way. You can do like an online petition if people signing an online petition to get you on a stage. It shouldn't necessarily be money because, as I think was pointed out very effectively by Andrew Yang in a recent debate, people who have a lower income in their lives don't have the money to donate to campaigns. So then you're skewing the whole system just to people with disposable income. So that's part of the problem. But the other major way that would have done it is the polling organizations, a year and a half before an election, should not only be allowing politicians and billionaires in the polls. They never put us in the polls. So I had no chance. The most fair way is just put us
for
in
the
the poll.
polling thing, you're
It's
not even a
closed-ended
box.
polls. Right.
I see. You're not even a box.
I'm not a
people can
box,
check.
so I can't physically qualify for the debates if they don't put my name in the polls, and they refuse to do it. And we reached out to them many times. So that was not cool.
Another argument, I'm going to play the devil's advocate a little bit here, is that, well, ultimately, a huge chunk of the reality of this is that it's about raising money. Because your ability to raise money is the fuel that you're going to fight.
Right, but it shouldn't be. That's exactly what's wrong in the system. Our whole system
What
is
should it
tilted.
be, and how do you...
It should just be people. It should be support of people. I had support of thousands and thousands of people that wanted me to be their president. And it didn't matter.
So then who pays for it? Who pays
Michael
for the ads? Who
Bloomberg
pays
jumps
for the
in.
whatever?
He spent $217 million in just like 3 or 4 months, blanketing the airwaves with his ads. He's not even trying to get in the debates, and he's polling. Polling still even towards the lower end of the pack is you can't even get that far with just money, but money gets you a seat at the table.
I agree with you on that, but for the reality of the part where it's like, so where does the money come from?
Publicly funded elections would be the best way.
And then it's I feel like it's still ultimately the same thing. But then who ends up?
Like I said, you have open-ended polls. Closed-ended polls that allow more names in based on an amount of popular support. Like I'm still going to be in the ballot in New Hampshire, but that was the only one we were able to qualify for.
I see.
So you need to be able to have polls that are more inclusive early on. You need to be able to have maybe a petition sign up for qualifying and not just be dollar-based. And you need to have media that agrees to open themselves up to a wider swath of voices so far in advance.
So let's take a step back a little bit. I want to get to know this side of you. What I've known about you, I've known you have had your podcast. You have always been politically minded and interested. It still blew my mind when you ran for president. I love it.
Yeah.
I really love it.
Well, I know my politics, and I just would always look at politics, and I would watch every debate, and I watch every interview with every politician and candidate, and I'd always be like, I know all this. I have ideas for all this.
Yeah.
No one's going to stump me. No one's going to be able to say something that makes me feel unqualified. I feel as qualified, if not in some ways more, because I've from an outside voice, an outside perspective than a lot of these people. And so I did it, and I was proven right. There was only one moment the entire campaign that I was even stumped for a second as to a question.
Really?
And
That part wasn't the challenge then.
no, yeah, like I felt absolutely qualified to run and to win if I were to win, because I don't think the president needs to be the number one expert on every topic. He needs to be a great leader who can listen, surround himself with an amazing team, and make smart, common sense decisions that benefit the most people.
Yeah.
And that's what made me feel like it was right to run, and also because we just need to beat Trump. And we've seen recent presidents, there's many examples. I think I'm much more qualified and astute than this, but look at the George W. Bush example. I saw the movie Dick, but that was accurate, that scene where he was like, I don't really know the policies, so Dick Cheney, would you maybe be my VP? And he's like, if you let me run the whole government and run all the policies, then I'll do it. And Bush is like, great, I love it. So like, I even made the argument on Larry King's show. I said, great, let's do that model for the Democrats. Even though I feel like, again, I know my shit, but let's have my VP nominee be a policy wonk with plans for everything and every bit of detailed policy knowledge. But you need a figurehead to lead the country and to bring us back together and to beat Trump.
I feel like for Democrats like Obama, Clinton, it's like a lawyer, academic. Like
that's the problem.
Typically seems to have to be, as a Republican, you can be a little more cowboy loosey-goosey.
That was a big problem too. Yeah, is that with my whole premise is that I felt like we need to come at, and so part of my campaign was like, I'm going to be down and dirty and calling names back to Trump and giving him my clever nicknames for his little nicknames. He gives his little his garbage pail kid nicknames. He gives everybody Lying Ted, Nervous Nancy, Shitty Schiff, and I had a bunch of names for him too that I give him. But you're right.
For your voters,
the Democrats really want a more
elevated
discourse. And my thought is, and I prefer that too. I'm not happy that we're in a place in politics where a comedian had to run and I had to call names of the President of the United States to try to make my case. But in the end of the day, I hope that they're right and I'm wrong. We'll see when the election comes by, but I just don't know if we're going to beat them with traditional politics.
That tactic didn't work for Democrat voters.
Right, it didn't. Yeah, it was a combination of all these things. That tactic, plus me starting late, plus the DNC not being open-minded, plus the media keeping me out. It was just a perfect storm of us not being able to. And that all said, we still raised a good deal of money. We ended as the 15th highest fundraising active Democratic campaign when we stepped out at the end of December. Not bad. Out of hundreds of candidates.
You're insane.
Yeah, man. It was pretty bonkers.
I remember seeing, I remember the announcement on Instagram where you're like, I've got some really big news I'm going to announce. And I was thinking, oh, he's got a show. He's got a new show.
I teased our logo, little snippets of the logo for like 5
Idiot
days.
test is done. He's doing something different. This is going to be great. And then it's like, who better to beat a heckler than a comedian? And I was like, he's running for president? What in the world? And then, but you didn't fold. Like, you went for months and months and months.
I outlasted Kamala Harris.
And you started getting some write-ups and some editorials and whatever. And
front pages of newspapers and the Des Moines Register and Larry King, and we had some pretty good hits. But yeah, go ahead. I don't know what point you're making.
So you make the decision, and then how do you run? What are the things that you put together a team of people? You start asking for money. You get a plan of how do you run a campaign?
Yeah, and that's the other thing that I'd never run a campaign before. Marianne Williamson, who ran for Congress a few years before she ran for president now, didn't fare very well. And then she said in some interview this cycle running for president that she had never run a campaign before. Now she knows how. So it was a big learning curve. I didn't know how to run a campaign.
What kind of things did you learn about how to run a campaign? I have no idea.
It's the most overwhelming thing possible. You need to spend a lot more time preparing before you announce. You need to build your team much more in advance for a long time and build your strategy and build your policies. And I was doing a lot of it kind of as I went because I had to make the decision. Time was running out. I made the decision, and I'm starting to assemble teams. So I spent about a month before preparing, but you probably needed 6 months before, if not more.
So you take a time, you line up a team. Who's on the team?
Find a team, just different people I'd met throughout the years and through friends of friends, people that worked in the Obama and Clinton administrations and campaigns, and then some comedians I had in the mix. We kept our touch of being irreverent and coming from the outside, and just different policy advisors, people I knew that worked in different policies, like my One of my tax policy advisors was the guy that helped write the bill that's circulating through Congress right now for a cost of living tax refund kind of thing, which is what I was advocating for in my campaign. You know, a buddy of mine is one of the head people for PR for Planned Parenthood, and so we got on the phone and talked in depth about what is needed to secure a woman's right to choose, and led to our campaign of calling for a constitutional amendment to enshrine a woman's right to choose, and a petition we did on change.org for that, and things like that. You just kind of build it as you go. You know, we didn't even have a campaign manager for the first couple months. We had a campaign coordinator, and then we found somebody that became our campaign manager for a few months, and it was all just a huge learning process, and a lot of egos and a lot of people trying to work together. And it's hard when you're the candidate, but they have more experience in politics than you, and you have to respect that, of course, and listen to their wisdom, but also trust your own instincts. I'm trying to run a different kind of campaign.
Yeah.
And so it was just, you have to just really have good instincts and trust your instincts and learn as you go. But from minute one, I felt like I was behind. From minute, I was always a huge mountain I needed to climb the next day. So like looking back, I would change things. I would prioritize more, reaching out to the DNC more and to the polls more. I'd prioritize
reaching out to the DNC.
Yeah,
to
trying
get there,
to get there,
to get in with them.
Yeah,
to play
to get in with
politics
them,
with
to
them.
get them to acknowledge us.
What would
more.
you have to do to get in with them?
You just try more. You know, have more of a sustained campaign. Email them every day. Have 10 people on your team.
I mean, are there
day.
certain points they want to emphasize, or there's certain policies or
They
whatever?
just
You're saying
respect
it's
people
just
in office more than anything else. So it's hard to get their respect from the outside anyway, because they're an insular group that wants to keep people together. I mean,
it's the establishment.
Yeah, I mean, best example of that, AOC just, I completely admire her for this stance she just took recently. The DCCC, the Democratic Campaign Coalition Committee, or whatever it is, the DCCC that also controls a lot how
the money,
the money and how a lot of the
money.
campaigns are run. Congress people have to pay dues to the DCCC each year. So like AOC technically owed like $250,000.
Wow. They
this
pay
year.
them, and
Pay
then they
them.
take it and distribute
And she
it.
refuses to pay it this year because they are blackballing any companies, any vendors that provide products or services to challenger candidates that are trying to take on incumbent Democrats. And AOC is like, no, we need change.
In the primary, Democrat primaries.
So they're like, we need change. I absolutely am not going to pay for a group that's not allowing new people to come in. They always try to protect their own. And that's the big problem with that system. So
Politics on politics.
Politics on politics. It's a really backward system. Like one little example is to run for president, you have to fill out on the FEC website, Federal Election Commission, Form 1 and Form 2. Your candidate application and your committee application. No joke, you must turn in Form 2 before Form 1. From minute one, it shows you how literally backwards politics is. Just call it Form 1 then, if that one has to go in first. It's just nuts. And so I liked how accessible it was. It wasn't that hard to file to run. I was able to do that. I was able to open a bank account after some amount of hassle. But to get taken seriously and to resonate, there are a lot of roadblocks. It feels to me like our democracy is still, there's like a window, there's like a crack in the window left where you can still slip through, but it's getting smaller and smaller every day. And that's why we have to push for an anti-corruption bill that will get the money out of our politics and get the revolving door closed and ban lobbyists from donating to campaigns. And ranked choice voting is a big thing that can save our democracy. I don't know if you know about that.
Press on there. This was mailed to me by the campaign. We're going to open this up.
Mailed to you by me personally.
Oh, did you?
Nope.
No kidding. We got Take Our Democracy Back.
There's some souvenirs.
We got
Campaign stickers. Yes.
That's perfect. I'm gonna put one of those. That's perfect. That will live up there along with our
Love that.
Our other stuff. Oh, little love letter from Ben. Oh, that's really nice. Signed by the man himself.
You want to read the letter?
Do you want me to read the letter?
Sure.
January 6, 2020. Dear Larry, I want to take a moment personally to thank you for your generosity in helping fund our campaign. And as you know, we were a long shot from the start. We had great hope to be able to break through a system almost completely controlled and corrupted by the influence of big money and special interests. to give people another choice in the most important election of our lives. Because I didn't think we should risk not at least trying every viable angle that we might have worked back to take back the White House and return our country to a path led by values we are proud to stand behind. We face unprecedented challenges and a president who does not play by the rules, so all strategies need to be considered. You agreed and so kindly helped make our campaign possible. We didn't get the nomination. You might have realized that, but I think we succeeded in providing a very different voice. I went into more detail in my concession speech online, but we brought into the conversation the importance of using out-of-the-box strategies to take on Trump and added loudly to the drumbeat of voices that led to his impeachment. Our campaign introduced new ideas for tackling the issues we face and helped focus our national conversation on taking our democracy back from the corruption at the root of our problems. I want you to know how touched I am by your donation, how honored I am by your supporting me in this effort. Running an underfunded, truly grassroots campaign is not easy, but we poured our hearts into it. I took the kindness of your donation with the gravity it deserves, stretching our dollar as far as we could. We shared hotel rooms, slept on air mattresses in supporters' living rooms, sometimes 5 of us in one room, and only spent money when it was necessary to advance our goals. And because of that, I'm proud to say we outlasted campaigns with millions of dollars backed by huge political machines, and we ended up with no debt at all. We truly could not have done it without you. You made it all possible. From the bottom of my heart, thank you sincerely, Ben Gleib. P.S. I threw some things in the envelope as a small token of thanks for you to remember our campaign by Gleib 2020. Glad to be a part of it.
I was hoping for tears. You didn't tear up at all there.
I on the inside.
Read it again, and I'd like tears.
Let me see what I can do. Let me find something in here that'll make me cry. 5 in a room, huh?
That campaign life is real, man.
Was it fun? Did it suck?
That's a good question. There were parts that were fun. There were parts that sucked. Overall, I would not call it a fun experience. It was an honor to be able to run for president of the United States. It was intense. It was moving. Having people open up to me constantly wherever I would go about their lives and their struggles.
Yeah.
It was very exhilarating at points, very exhausting at points. I would not call it fun. It's just too much work to be fun.
What was like the highest moment for you? Peak or the best?
Was probably at the AFL-CIO convention when I finished that speech, and it was kind of the pinnacle moment of our making our case directly to people who would benefit from what my message was. And when they stood up and gave me a standing ovation, it touched me very deeply. It was a moment of validation where I felt like this was not all for naught.
Yeah.
This is a message that people need to hear, that people are resonating with. That was pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
That was cool. But every moment of just having people show up to my events to find out about my campaign, support the campaign, cheer us on, ask questions, tell us about their lives was pretty amazing.
Must have been pretty cool. I mean, you must have met some incredible people, the candidates and on the trail. Who were some of your favorites or most memorable people you met?
Andrew Yang was very nice, very personable dude.
You like him?
I liked him a lot. Cory Booker I'd met before, but still he's very, very down to earth, cool guy. Bernie Sanders was not friendly. Blew past me when I went up to say hi to him. And you can see it on my YouTube channel. I called the video a very powerful meeting between Ben Gleib and Bernie Sanders. And the video is 9 seconds long.
Zoom.
Hillary went after him today too for the same thing.
Did she?
Yeah.
Well,
Hillary went after him?
He's in Hillary. I haven't heard from her in months, and this is by the time this comes out, this will be old news. But she said he gets nothing done, and he's not very nice. She took a couple shots at Bernie.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like him as what he stands for. I like what he stands for, but you know, you just have to wonder in general when someone's been in Congress forever and ever and ever what their accomplishment record really is. If they're going to claim to make every bit of change, where's that change been in their long, you know, it doesn't seem like he has some preternatural gift for getting people to do things that he argues for. That said, he's one of the best options we got left. And so
Him and his 2 stents in his heart.
yeah, but somehow a heart attack makes this guy stronger. I don't know what it is. This guy seems like a...
I have a different medical opinion.
Do you?
Oh, give me a
Which is what?
break. Oh, he's a time bomb.
Really?
Oh, stop.
Really?
I shouldn't say this.
Why not? You're the doctor. You know
I
this
don't.
stuff.
I've talked about this on the news, and I won't go there. But I think his health and I'll say it, his age are a question. I think those.
Yeah, but look at the other
Him and
options.
Biden. I think
him
you,
and
I think
Biden
you
and,
need to, I think
and Warren are all pretty darn old.
I think you absolutely
Damn
with
old.
with Biden, there are questions about his age and his memory. Does he have some early onset dementia, Alzheimer's? That's a very real, valid
That's
question.
what I wonder.
And the other one with Bernie is Bernie had a heart attack on the campaign trail. Is he going to last 5 years before having another one that could be fatal?
Right.
These are questions that are real.
For sure.
That's what I'll say.
But would you agree he seemed to bounce back pretty darn good from that heart attack?
I think he's survived and done well in the short term. Sure, he's done great.
Shooting free throws on Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, he's got known coronary disease now.
Right. Yeah.
When's the vessel going to pop in his
How
brain
does
or
Donald
his
Trump?
heart
How
or
is Donald
whatever?
Trump so lucky with everything, with his health? He eats horribly.
He had something a couple weeks ago.
Or he got
I don't-
rushed. Yeah.
I don't think you know his health.
Sure, but he hasn't had any heart attack like Bernie did. That's probably largely because Trump doesn't care about anything truly. So he's like, whatever, country, not going well. Oops, Big Mac, please. And Bernie's like, I can't believe they brought the wrong soup to my lunch. Everything. It really gets him to 11 there.
I like that Bernie.
Thank you very much. In my view, my heart is great. I have now a baboon heart. I have a baboon heart. It's a very young baboon. We're going to be great. I'm happy to be back in comedy now, man.
I was going to say, so
Even this interview, I've been more serious than I've been in the last 3 weeks because now I'm just growing a beard.
all right.
And I got a new wardrobe. And I've just been doing a little bit of self-care, which is mostly just sleeping.
Yeah.
And I am liking being silly again because I was doing that just to try to offer my voice. But if it didn't resonate to that level, all good. I'm going to support the nominee, and I'm going to go back to being a silly little bitch. Not even a little bitch, just a silly bitch.
You've got... I'm looking forward to go seeing you, and I'm hoping, as one of your fans, there'll be some politics. You got some material.
I
You
know
got
that's
some
the
jokes.
frustrating thing is that
No?
I just did my first road weekend since the campaign ended in Minnesota at the Mall of America this weekend. And the tour is even called the Stand Up for America Comedy Tour, but it's the last 2 days of it, and I did 0 political jokes because I'm just tired of it right now. I need a little bit of a break.
You want a break from it.
I might do some, but I'm just kind of tired of it.
Does it feel good to be back in comedy?
So good.
Yeah.
So good. It feels weird. I feel a little bit removed from the world that's been my home forever. And I feel almost like I'm like dipping my toe back into something that's been second nature to me forever, which is a very strange feeling for me. But it feels so good to be able to just worry about getting laughs instead of... And that's not even true. I mean, I was up until 5 a.m. writing and recording my podcast where I'm trying to wake people up to political realities. So it's not like I've abdicated all my responsibilities by any means, but to not have the weight of the world on my shoulders feels good.
It's a huge change, like running for president of the
No
United
joke.
States to not.
I miss the old days of just talking about giving bad advice to women on the Today Show with you.
Well, my advice was incredible.
Whatever.
It was. My advice was just like this perfectly placed golf ball on this tee, where you guys were all just like sitting back ready to just.
I'm
knock
so
it
sorry
somewhere.
that your relationship with Kathy Lee didn't work out. You guys had a really beautiful
Who said it didn't?
potential. Oh, really?
Yeah.
You guys have had a dalliance?
Are you still seeing her?
No, it ended with me and Kathy Lee a long time ago.
Where do you think she moved on to?
Probably Chuck or Bob. I don't know. She's a sweet woman. She's very, very lovely, and I don't blame you for asking her out. But
Oh, you did. You went there, didn't you?
yeah, you asked her out. Come on.
That is not. It's a common misconception. I asked her to go to lunch.
That's a great, like, non-threatening first date.
No, it's a non-threatening. Go to lunch with my mom's friend or something.
I'm not. You go love your mom's friend a lot.
Well, then when
Can you count on one finger the times you've ever done that?
I was at home.
Mom, I
over-
love your friend. Can I take her to lunch? 0 times.
It's a safe place. It's
Kathy Lee's
just
a very
lunch.
attractive woman. I don't judge you. If I were single, I would have done it too. I'm sorry she rebuffed your advances. I feel terrible.
Oh man, I don't want to tell this story. You're gonna make me tell this story.
I'll summarize it for you.
Okay,
pretty
please,
easily.
Ben, tell the story.
It was Valentine's Day. We all gave Kathy Lee flowers. You gave her a card saying, "I'd love to take you to lunch." And she wrote you a letter back saying, "Why would you want to go out with someone who's basically your mother?" And then they didn't have you back in the show for a month.
They put me on the bench.
Put you on the bench. But you got called back up to the bigs.
My manager was like, "You asked her out?" I'm like, "You made a pass at Kathy Lee?" I'm like, "No, that's not what it was. Like that's not what I was."
But like real talk though,
But
not
that's
at
not what
all.
it was.
If she made a move at you, would you have been into it?
No, she was so nice.
So nice.
She's a genuinely nice person. Like I was sat right next to her and during the little breaks, I would talk to her about Regis and Notre Dame and whatever. And she was just such a genuinely nice person.
I have hope for you guys.
So do I. I'd have her on the show. Kathy Lee, if you're watching, you're welcome on the show anytime.
I'm sure she can't wait.
She'll reach out. Wow, you went there. I think that was the only thing I said don't talk about, and you just
You did
went
not say
right
that.
at it.
You said you said feel free to say anything.
Well, that's true. I did say that.
Well,
I take it back.
your own words.
So
I think that was a little bit of self-sabotage, and you should stop it. Okay?
these are all of the guests that have been on the show.
I should bring my book.
Oh, you got a book?
Nope.
Oh,
But if I write one, I'll bring it to you.
you could come back.
Put my letter right in between there. That's good. I like that.
Put that right there. Put you on the top. right?
Yes.
Put you on the top. Right
That's
now.
what I'm talking about.
About that.
Boom.
Just scratch out that 0 and make it a 4.
Shit.
Gleib 2024.
Gleib 2044 maybe. I got time. If I'm gonna run again, it'll be when I'm old.
That'll be good. Then
Old
you've
man.
got 24 years
Wait
to
till I have my
plan it
problems.
out.
Exactly right. Then I'll have a real strong team in place by then. I got some things in the works. I want to be getting Telethon for America 2020 going. I'm
You
gonna
know
be
what?
pitching
That
my
was a
own
really
show.
cool thing that you did, and I want to talk about that for a second because this was before you ran for president.
Yeah.
You did a telethon. Was this in 18
Yep.
for like the senator stuff, those elections?
the midterms.
You came up with this idea and made it all happen, and it was a big thing, and I think Michelle Obama invested in it or whatever. What was that?
November of 2018, it was the Telethon for America. I had an idea for the first telethon ever with the goal of raising $0, and we succeeded.
You're such a lofty, ambitious guy.
Thank you. As Chelsea Handler said on air during the telethon, leave it to Ben Gleib to come up with a telethon that raises no money. But the goal instead was to
Well done.
Yeah. But the goal was instead to take pledges from people to vote the next day in the midterms to make sure we had historic voter turnout. And we achieved that goal. We helped the nation achieve historic voter turnout.
Oh, really?
It was the best turnout ever among youth and best overall since 1914.
Wow.
And it helped to, there was a nonpartisan telethon, but the end result was that it flipped the House to the Democrats and helped restore some semblance of balance in our government and some check on Trump's administration. And but that wasn't the goal. The goal was just to have people vote and let the chips fall where they may. And it was incredible. I thought of the idea of doing it in 2018, just 7 weeks before the midterms. And
Where did you come up with that idea?
it was an idea that I had toyed around with my friend Scott like 10 years earlier. We actually shopped something similar with Norman Lear back in the day. And then he pulled the plug on it. And as these things were coming up, I'm like, we should do it right now, not as a registration telethon, but as a get out the vote telethon. And I started talking to people and going to events and seeing if I could make it happen. And all of a sudden, a friend of mine my friend Tina introduced me to When We All Vote, Michelle Obama's organization. And they said, I wanted it at first, well, basically, they said that if we wanted to partner, they'd be open to it. We ended up partnering with them. And 3.5 weeks before the show, we had $0 of funding. $0, 3.5 weeks before a major production. And all of a sudden, we partnered with them. and we partnered with Comedy Central, and we got our stream carried by MTV and Ellen.
How much are we talking for a thing like that?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh, wow.
And all of a sudden, every publication in the world is covering it, and every major star is coming and attending, and I hosted it with Olivia Munn. I ended up hosting it last minute. I didn't intend on hosting it, but
You did a great job. I remember it. I watched.
Thank you very much. And then
And this was to get people
to vote,
not to
pledge-
register,
no,
but
to
to
pledge to vote
to
the
say,
next
yes,
day,
I'm going to vote.
and to form voting squads to go out and bring their friends to the polls to raise up the numbers. And we had like Charlize Theron and Natalie Portman and Jane Fonda and Amy Schumer, Julie Louis-Dreyfus, Pete Davidson, Ray Romano, everybody, Constance Wu.
How'd you get these guys? That's great.
95 major league celebrities came out and participated.
I remember being really impressed. I was like, wow.
It was everybody. It was insane, the group of people. And we got them just because people care about the country and they wanted to increase turnout and they wanted to be part of it. And I used my relationships, and Chelsea came on board and used a lot of her relationships, and then Michelle Obama's company helped us.
Because you're good friends with Chelsea.
Chelsea is a dear friend.
Yeah.
Yep. I used to be on her show, Chelsea Lately, for 7 years.
Yeah. When are you going to get your show?
That's what I'm working on. Also, I'm trying to figure out what I don't want any more of that. What I'm trying to figure out specifically what form the show will take, because I've got a lot of ideas I've been kind of toying around with in my head, but I haven't been able to think about it at length for the whole length of. Maybe I should.
Did you go to Kansas on your tour?
No, I did not get through Kansas.
Yeah, you missed out.
I've been to Kansas.
You missed out.
I know. You ever went to school in Kansas?
KU Med.
KU Med.
That's where I grew up. Kansas
Love
City.
that. KU Med.
Yeah. KU Med.
And so I haven't been able to figure out what the show I want to do next because the campaign was so all-encompassing. I didn't have a minute to even think about anything. I hoped over the holidays to do it, and I'm just so tired. I wasn't able to think about anything but just sleeping.
You're exhausted.
I'm still pretty tired, and it's been.
You look great though.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you do look great.
Like the beard?
I remember seeing all the pictures of clean shaven. I was like,
I've never been so clean shaven for a long period of time.
that
in my
guy.
life.
Yeah, and you were always clean shaven, and so welcome back.
Thank you. I miss your beard. You're avoiding telling me if you like my beard. Do you like the beard?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you look good in a
You
beard.
don't love it. Okay, good. I hope so.
I don't love it. No,
Really?
I think it looks good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Getting
It was.
grays in
I
it now,
think
too.
for your appearance, it was notably different for me to see you so clean shaven for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's exciting for me. Why'd you get rid of your mountain man beard you had?
Oh, that big awful thing.
love
I don't
it.
know. Sometimes I just can't handle it anymore, and it just itches, and I'm just over it. And I like to change every now and again. Whacked my hair off
How often do you work out?
several times a week, maybe 4 or 5.
From a health perspective, being that you're a doctor, is it unhealthy that I work out never?
You're leaving some benefits on the table.
But
Yes,
is this
many.
a real problem though? I'm leaving benefits, but am I jeopardizing my health by not working out?
Yeah, you would live longer and be happier and have better function if you exercised
Really?
regularly.
But
Absolutely.
then how much time am I losing working out? Am I gaining, let's say, am I gaining 2 years of life, but I'm spending 4 years in the gym in aggregate?
What if you were working out while you were doing something else?
Yeah. could
And
do
you're
that.
not. So you're walking on a treadmill while you're making phone calls.
Right.
Or doing, I don't know.
Yeah, I could do that. I have a treadmill now that I don't use. There's a lot of clothes and frames on it, picture frames.
There are some people, yes. There's a point where it's you exercise, you get more benefit, and then there's this. So the people that are over here, they're going to be spending their extra time living,
Right.
exercising.
Right. That's what I'm trying very hard to avoid.
It sounds like
As
you're
hard as possible.
being successful.
I walk my dog.
That's something.
Is
Good.
that some? In the mornings, 20 to 30 minutes, and then in the evenings, 5 minutes.
It's better than nothing. They did a study where they compared people who did nothing versus just walking 15 minutes a day. These 15-minute walkers lived 3 years longer. 3!
Really?
Just walking.
I feel like I'm done now. I'm good. I'm good to go.
You got those 3 years. Yeah.
I feel good. I feel really good.
What is some of the better replies to his tweets and trash talks, and what was your favorite garbage pail name for him?
Well, I like calling him Tiny Brain Trump because I think he fancies himself the smartest guy in the world. So Tiny Brain Trump's good. Treasonous Trump. Crybaby Donnie is a good one. He's always bitching about something. Toupee fiasco.
Toupee Trump.
Toupee fiasco is a good one because his hair is a train wreck. Putin side chick. That's a big one. Coward the Duck. Napoleon Bone Spurs. That's a good little handful of them for you right there.
Impeached Trump. How about that? You doesn't even need to be that witty.
Yeah, impeached, bitch. How you like that? I get to cuss again now, which is nice.
Yeah, we don't really do that on the show.
Really?
Yeah.
You also said, he said, be as blue as you can be. Your producer said, be as blue as you want. Now I need you to cuss, make me feel better.
I gotta jab you back.
Say
a little
something.
bit, Ben.
Say a swear word. What's your favorite swear word?
Darn. Dadgummit. Rats.
That's the way the internet views right there.
I've said a couple cuss words when appropriate.
Like what?
It's out there. I said shit once.
Ah.
What?
You said the F word before.
Have I dropped the F-bomb on the
Yeah.
show?
Okay, here we
I'm auditioning to be his Surgeon General, so I want to keep it.
Oh, of course.
go. I have lost the election. I'd like to remind everybody.
Doesn't matter. I still want to be your Surgeon General.
Oh, that's great. You know what? That'd be funny if I should announce a cabinet just for life. My Surgeon General, my VP.
Who else you got running for Surgeon General?
I've got another great doctor, Steve Eisenberg.
Steve Eisenberg.
You don't know him?
No.
Great dude, Dr. Steve.
So I'm number 2, huh?
No, I didn't say who's ranked where. You guys are both in the running. I'd like to see your proposals,
Okay. I'll get back to you.
Dr. Steve.
I think if I were Surgeon General, I'd be so aggressive that you would have to remove me from office. That would be
Aggressive in what way?
just whatever we're gonna do. It's so outrageously for the health of
Like
the
what?
country.
What's your biggest health prescription for people?
Ooh, good question. You're putting me on the spot. I'm not ready for that.
Well, you're the author of The Gentleman's Diet. Tell us if you had to do one thing, what would your prescription, what's the biggest thing we can do to turn our health around?
I think it has to be taking the anti-big tobacco playbook and using it against big food. So making it illegal to advertise McDonald's to children, for example, but something in that realm that's so controversial that I would absolutely get removed from office because
Not if you have the right administration in office.
well, because big
That's a
food and
great
whatever,
idea.
but something like that.
Big
stuff
business
like
in every
that.
way, big business just poisons us.
Right, because
and
you
our
look
environment.
at tobacco, and they said you can't sell to kids anymore. So all the tobacco ads in the gas station that were low level for kids, that's illegal. But in the middle of this diabetes and all of this early death from obesity, there's candy, there's stuff.
Right.
My daughter loved McDonald's. Why? Because it had the Disney toy.
Right.
So I
Well,
would
also, I think
square
it's
the target on that.
I think it's not cool that they're fine with tall kids smoking. You know,
Oh.
because it's not.
It took me a second. I was like, what? I feel like for you, this is what you've talked about this before. I mean, gosh, running for president, like this is such a great thing for you to transition into. I don't know if you want to do, a Jon Stewart kind of thing and just that Bill Maher or, political comedy and all of that. I think you'd be great for something like that.
Yeah, along those lines is something I've been developing, but I want to be able to add something different to the conversation, and there already are a handful of shows like that, and so I've been working on how I can tweak that to add something unique to the landscape there. I don't need to be just another voice doing the same thing, nor do I know that it would sell very easily, so.
I mean, you are different. You ran.
Yeah, true that.
Something along that line, maybe.
Yeah, like I thought about doing a show called The Truth, where I just seek out the real story that's not being reported. Could be interesting. But you have a spam risk on your phone right there.
Let me get that.
Yeah,
Excuse
let's
me.
answer that one. Can we answer it?
Do you want to
Yeah,
answer
let's
it?
answer it. I'll mess with them.
Oh,
we
we lost them.
The one time we wanted to get the spam people. No, there's no number that came through. Maybe there is a number that came through.
Spam risk.
Let's call them right back.
Oh, you want to call them?
Yeah.
Your call cannot be completed as dialed.
Of course.
It's so loud and perfectly dramatic for television.
I have not heard my own voicemail in a long time. I wonder what my voicemail's like. It's been years since I've heard my voicemail.
I feel like all I ever get is your voicemail.
Well, that's on purpose. Come on. Hope it's not stupid.
Do you even have a voicemail, or are you one of these guys that just goes on forever? There you go, send me a voicemail.
Hi, you've reached Ben's telephone. Cell phone. This is my smartphone. Leave a message, and I will get back to you once I play it back through the phone. I'm great at messages.
At the tone, please record
It's
your
I.
message. When you've finished recording,
It's
you may
I.
hang up or press 1 for more options.
You can do better. That was years ago. I was a younger man. I was a ramblier comedian, you understand? Oh, I got a voicemail. I wonder who that is.
Okay, so let me ask you the kind of big overarching things. How did this experience change you? Did it change you much?
I think I need to wait to see how it changes me long term because it's just so new. I've been out for 3 weeks. I don't know. I know that it definitely has made me more serious overall, but then I'm so excited to go back to being silly that I don't know where I'm going to land. But
Serious versus silly.
yeah, I mean, I've always had those big parts of me. That was the biggest challenge for me during the campaign was not being silly very much. I had little moments to blow off steam, but very little.
Just not appropriate.
Yeah, you just can't ever make a joke when someone's talking to you about something serious. You can't.
Did you try it?
Oh, I'd made jokes, but just never did I try to make a joke that was at all like undermining of the thing somebody's saying. You know, I'd make jokes that were about the system or about the hypocrisies for sure, but I didn't get to make any like flippant jokes ever, and it's a big part of a comedian's existence.
Kind of seemed like you want to.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you have to censor a lot of thoughts that go through your head, but
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how it's going to change me, but I know that I've definitely committed myself. I think the biggest change it will be for sure is that I can't ever abdicate my responsibility to the country. I've, committed myself to being a voice that is going to fight for what matters. But I've been that for a long time, but now I kind of feel like I have to be next level with that.
You're not going to do it. You said, well, I don't think I want to run again, but you felt like you could make a bigger impact outside of the system. What does that look like?
Like we're talking about some kind of a show
Yeah.
that holds our leaders to account and calls out hypocrisy, I think could be very effective. And my podcast, Last Week on Earth, just making a show each week that helps people see through a lot of the bullshit in the system, I think is a very strong way that I can help to combat a lot of the false narratives and a lot of the corruption out there, and just help us fight to pass anti-corruption bills and help us fight to pass ranked choice voting around the country. And
Tell me about, you mentioned that before. Tell me, because I've heard a lot about ranked choice voting and how it really does make a big difference. Explain that.
so New York City just passed it, the whole state of Maine passed it, and they're already using it, and they'll both be using it in this election. It's a no-brainer. There's no argument I don't think you can make against it. Basically, a big reason why smaller candidates like I was and like third-party candidates and even within parties, candidates that don't have the big money backings don't get enough support and don't win elections enough is because people are afraid they're going to waste their vote. They're afraid their vote won't count because they're voting for somebody who's not going to win, and so they're not actually putting their weight in between the two serious candidates.
I see.
And then when they do, those people are spoilers. And then they can actually take key votes away from the candidate that they want that is more likely to win.
I see.
So ranked choice voting is, instead of voting for one candidate, you rank your favorite candidates.
I've done this before on ballots.
You have?
Yeah.
Where did you live before?
Well, I live in Berkeley now. I don't know if it was on that, but or a
okay.
different. Maybe it was with a shareholder thing or something with work. Or
Oh,
whatever,
okay,
but
yeah,
I've
yeah.
Done that.
You rank your choices, and then you can vote for whoever you want for your first choice. And if your candidate gets 51% of the vote, great. If they don't, they just take off your first choice for everybody that voted for that person, then they recount the votes, and they go now to your second choice.
Oh.
So you can vote for
So your
Elizabeth
vote-
Warren second and Ben Gleib first, and if I don't win, you didn't waste your vote on me, you still get to vote for Elizabeth Warren.
I see.
It's an awesome system.
So if New Hampshire had it where you're on the ballot, somebody could still vote for you.
They can still vote for me now regardless. But
Yeah, so
they probably
they'll-
shouldn't.
But
Because they would be wasting their vote.
because that's not ranked choice voting.
Yeah.
I see.
I don't want more coffee. The water's hidden down below, and it's a confusing system for me.
Do we have anything else we want to ask this guy?
We can go all day, man.
I feel like we could.
You really got to see inside of the looking glass as it is with the way the political sausage is made. So, any anecdotes, anything that you remember specifically or you want to talk about, other that you haven't talked about yet? Right?
I guess the biggest takeaway is that while our system's pretty corrupt and broken, the people in this country still really care. I was very heartened to see how people are very involved in our democracy, how people actually care. They want to make change. They want to really dive deep and figure out who will be the best to lead us forward. We haven't given up hope, and that's nice. That's nice.
Agreed. It always it medicine's the same way, right? It's a big monster, frustrating system, but you do it because of the people, the individual people in front of you, and
Right.
that's always a source of hope.
Yeah. Yeah, you're making a lot of change with people. Remember taking taxi cab rides with you back from the Today Show all the way to the airport, us heading back to LA, and you and I just talking about healthcare, the healthcare system.
We had a good chat about
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's a good one.
Those are all the things that educate.
Talk about that on your
and inform.
podcast. Anything else? Where can people find you again and all of your shows?
So you can watch my Brain Teaser game show that I'm the host and one of the executive producers of, and I'm the head writer of. Yeah. You can watch my game show, Idiot Test, my Brain Teaser game show on Netflix. You can watch part of season 1 there, or all the episodes on Game Show Network. You can watch my hour stand-up special, Neurotic Gangster, on Amazon Prime. You can Google all kinds of things from the campaign on YouTube, or go to Gleib2020.com to read about the platforms that my campaign stood for. And you can go to bengleib.com for my comedy and my stand-up dates in a city near you. More dates being released soon. And just follow me on social media, at Ben Gleib, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and subscribe to my podcast, Last Week on Earth, if you want somebody to summarize the world for you every week, so you don't have to watch the bullshit news and waste all your time with that. Let me spend my time on that and then do it for you. And also talk about inappropriate things too.
I'm actually gonna come and see you tonight. So
At the Comedy Store.
I'm gonna check out all that stuff.
It's a bonkers lineup tonight. Brian Callen, Joey Coco Diaz,
So good.
Adam Ray, Angela Johnson, Kyle Kinane. It's a fire lineup.
I'm looking forward to
You will all miss it. It's already happened by the time you see this.
Thank you for watching the show. I want you to screenshot or record something and tag us. Get out of my shot.
Sorry, I messed up my hair now.
Your hair looks great though.
Thank you.
Tag us on social media. I will reply. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts and the YouTube channel. Put your face back in it again. Get it out of here. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Well, my biggest life-changing moment occurred in the 1990s, where Saddam Hussein occupied Kuwait, and I was a professor at Kuwait University, where overnight I lost my job. And then